Hi everyone. Today we're going to go back to the bouncing ball lab that we had worked on earlier in the year, and we're going to use this example to practice our work with inheritance. So you'll recall that we had this class called the ball class, and in the ball class we had a ball that just basically bounced off the walls. There's a few things that's changed since we did it last. The first thing is that our variables are all protected because we're going to make subclasses and we want to be able to access those. But just like before, we have three constructors: a default constructor, a constructor that takes the XY position and the color, and then a last constructor where you can customize everything. We have a paint method that just basically paints a circle. And this is new. We have the set color method because that's going to be useful for us to be able to make some adjustments. And then here we have the move method, which basically increases our X location, our Y location, and checks to see if we've hit either of the walls. And it bounces by changing, adding an X step to subtracting, or the same thing for Y. Now, in all of your work, you are never going to change any of this code, but you are going to use this code. If you change anything in the ball class, what you turn in may not work. All right, so let's take an example, and we're going to start off with this one called the size change. Oh wait, before we do that, let's go in the screen class. And what you were looking at, I did change it to an array list. We had an array before, and I've got one of each type of constructor in there, and it just basically goes through and paints them. All right, let's go and do our first new adjustment. We're going to have one called the size changing ball, and as you might guess, this ball is going to change size. So here's where we're going to put in our code. I've already got this up here because we are going to need this import because of graphics. Because it is a ball, we're going to say extends ball. And we're going to have a few new private variables because this one we're going to have a min diameter, which is the smallest the diameter could be, a max diameter, which is going to be the largest the diameter can be, and then we're going to have one other thing called the diameter step, which is going to be how much the diameter goes up by each time. We're going to have a constructor, public size changing ball. And for our constructor, we're going to take these values: int x start, int y start. We're going to take a color C, and we're going to also ask for the minimum diameter and the maximum diameter. So that's all the information we're going to need to run a size changing ball. And we are going to call on balls constructor. And we could choose any of these, but we don't want a black ball because, oh, I guess it's a red ball here. Um, but we're going to do this one with the 3. So X, Y, and color C. So I'm going to go in here and send X start. Oops, spell that right. X start, Y start, and C. And that sends that up to the ball class. If you have to call on the superclasses constructor, it must be the very first thing you do here. Then next we're going to set our min diameter. Oops, min diameter equal to min d, and max diameter equal to max d. And we're also going to set our diameter equal to min diameter to start off with. And you'll notice there is no variable up here called diameter, but back in the ball class, we made diameter a protected variable. So we can set that in this constructor here. All right. So we've got that going on there, but let's go ahead and do a default one as well, just to show you that I could do more than one constructor. So let's say all I wanted to do was just send these, the min diameter and the max diameter, and then I would call on this one. Now it turns out I don't even need this because the default constructor is called automatically. And so I want you to see that what I have right now compiles. I think, yeah, there's a curly bracket. This compiles, but if I didn't have, well, if I didn't have this one, it would simply call on the default one as well. So it would also compile, but it wouldn't do what I wanted it to. All right, so I can call on super here, and it would just call on the constructor in ball class, this one right here that takes no parameters. If I send no parameters, it actually automatically calls on that without doing that. So this code is actually not necessary, but is happening regardless. I don't know whether to leave it or not, but here we go. All right, now, let's see. We're going to do this thing where we change the diameter, and I'm going to make just a quick method called change diameter that's going to change the diameter. And I'm making it private because I'm only going to call on it inside this class. And the way it works is this. I'm going to take my diameter, make it plus equals diameter step, which I just realized I never initialized. So let's go ahead and do that. If I don't initialize it, we all know it would automatically be 0. So I'm going to set it to 1 in both of these. All right, and so there we go. I added it. Now, I'm going to also say, you might say, why didn't I just do plus plus? But I want to have it when it goes to the max diameter to start decreasing. So I'm going to have this thing where I say the diameter, if it's greater than the max diameter, or, oops, wrong way, there we go, or if the diameter is less than the min diameter, it means I have to switch what I'm doing. And so then my diameter step times equals -1. And that way I'll switch the adding one to subtracting one, or the subtracting one to adding one. All right, so the last thing is just to adjust my public void move method. I always want to do, when I'm overwriting a method that exists, I want to make sure it has the exact same signature. So I'm going to go down here to ball, and there's public void move. I'm going to just copy this because I want to overwrite it. So here it is. It looks exactly the same. But when I overwrite it, I want to actually still have it move the same way. So I'm going to do super.move, but before it moves, I'm going to have it change its diameter. So there we go. We've got change diameter and then move. All right, and that's it. Oops. Oh, when I call on the move method, notice I need the width and the height. So I better send it that width and height, otherwise it doesn't know when it's bouncing off a wall. And now we're good to go. Now to test this, I need to go in the screen class and add a few size changing balls. Nice thing about an array list is if I don't want all these ones I had before, I could just comment them out and I can add. So balls.add, I'm going to do a new size changing ball. And let's do the, let's see, the first one I had a whole bunch of numbers for. So let's see, I'm going to use some of these same numbers. So 2400 color.pink. I'm just remembering this, but I better take a look. So size changing ball, that first constructor, I need to say where it starts, its color, min and max diameter. Okay, so I'm back in screen. Let's see, where's screen? There it is. All right, where are we? Aha, there we go. So min and max. So let's say we'll go from 30 to, actually let's have it go smaller, 20 to 50. There we go. And then let's just add another one, balls.add new size changing ball. And the other one, let's go ahead and just, see, we just gave it the min and the max diameter. So let's start this one out a little bigger, but let's not have it go through quite as much. So I think it just took 2 numbers, but let's just go take a look and make sure I'm not forgetting that. Yeah, just the 2 numbers. And because it uses the default constructor in ball, it is going to be a red ball. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got when we run this. And there we go. Um, you can see that as they bounce off, as they move along, their diameters keep changing and they get bigger and smaller. And so that is working as we want it to. So that's good. All right, so now our next example is called patriotic ball. And our patriotic ball is a ball that is going to go through the patriotic colors of red, white, and blue, and it's going to change colors when it hits a wall. All right, so this one also extends ball. And let's see, I'm going to need a list of colors. So I'm going to have an array of colors, actually. I'll call them my pat colors for patriotic colors. And it's going to equal color.red and color.blue and color.white. So there are my patriotic colors. And I'm also going to need a counter to keep track of which color I'm on. So every time I hit a wall, so it keeps track of bounces off the wall, bounces off the wall. And what I'm going to do is divide by 3, and the remainder is going to tell me whether I need to be red, white, or blue. All right, let's go ahead and get a constructor. So public patriotic ball. And I'm going to use the constructor that um, I can say where it's going to be, its diameter, and how it's going to move. So we're going to use this constructor from the ball class. So if we take a look at ball, you'll notice that I had this constructor that had all of this stuff. I'm just going to copy this over so I can kind of see what I'm working with. Okay, so I need to call on super, and I'm going to send it X and Y and D and X move and Y move. But the first color I'm going to send it is going to be color.red because it's always going to start out red. All right, good. So I call on the superclass constructor, and then I'm going to set that counter equal to 0. And that's it for my constructor. All right, so now I'm going to go to my move method. And the problem is I can't just, and I'm actually going to copy the whole thing from ball, I can't just use super.move because I have code that I'm going to do when it bounces. So I'm going to have to take this entire thing here, and since I have to add code in the middle, I'm going to actually rewrite the entire method. So it's not going to do super.move in this one. And I'm going to have all of this, and when it bounces off the left and right walls, I'm going to go in here, and after it does that, I'm going to make my counter go up. And then I'm going to change my ball color. My ball color is going to equal my patriotic colors, and I'm going to do counter %3. And I'm going to do the same thing also if I bounce off this one. So I'm going to take that counter and figure out the new color if I bounce off that one. And there we go. That should do the trick. All right, so let's try a patriotic ball here. So let's go into screen. And just so we don't get confused, I'm going to get rid of all of these. I do have that basic one here. I'll get rid of it as well. And we're just going to look at our patriotic ball. So add new patriotic ball. And boy, I had all of those values I need. So let's see. Let's go ahead and start it kind of in the middle of the screen. So 250, 0. And then we had to, let's see, what was it all? Patriotic ball. Okay, XY, the diameter and how it's going to move. Okay, so the diameter, let's go with 20, and let's see, and let's go 7 and 4 for being patriotic July 4th. Okay, so here we go, and okay, and if we run our screen, there's our ball. It is red. It bounces, it's blue, bounces, it's white, and every time it bounces off a wall, it is going to just cycle through the colors red, white, and blue. There we go.